How did you wind up in the WWF?
I was doing celebrity golf championships, and I was just going out there. I wasn't really a good golfer, I had started, but I wasn't that good. But it was for a good event, so I'd always go out for the charity events. But I met Jesse Ventura, and I had run across each other occasionally. And he asked me one day out on the green, he said, "Sherri, why don't you go to work for Vince?" And I said, "Well, Jesse, nobody ever called. I'm not just going to call if they're wanting a job. I really don't feel that I'm experienced enough." So lo and behold, a few months later, I get back from a trip about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and there was a message on my answering machine from Blackjack Lanza saying, "Sherri, this is Blackjack. Vince wants to talk to you. Call in the morning." So I did. I was going nuts. I got back to the house. I was going nuts. And there's just me and my dogs there. And I was just jumping up and down and yelling and screaming. If somebody see me, they thought I was having a heart attack or I was going nuts or I was just losing it because I was all over my apartment, jumping up and down. Right. I was so happy. And I got on the phone the next morning and I called and I made the appointment. They wanted me to come in a couple of days after the phone call, and I couldn't because I had some dates down in Alabama. Where I ran into Candy Divine and Mr. Chris Love. And I went down there, I made the bookings, and I was sitting in the hotel room with Chris and Candy. And I said, "God, I'm so nervous." I said, what if I get up there and they meet me and they don't like me? And they said, "Sherri, just go up there and do your best. And if everything works out, then it'll work out."
How did Vern take the news?
Well, I didn't tell Vern right away. I didn't tell because when I went up there for the interview with Vince, I held him out for 2 weeks before I gave him an answer. And that was right before I went to the Houston show where Moolah dropped the strap on me.
Wow.
And Vern, I gave him 2 weeks notice after I gave Vince an answer. And that was where they you can't leave, you signed a contract. I said, "No, I never signed a 2-year contract." I said, because I thought it was a lot of bullshit.
Now, what were your initial impressions of Vince? What was that meeting like with you and Vince?
Oh, God. He was so intimidating, but I knew Vince Sr. and I had seen Junior, when I went up there, when I worked with Lillian and with all us girls, because Moolah never went to work up in New York without, she never sent girls up there. She was always one of the 4. And it was Vince. Oh, God. Vince. I could probably say a million things about Vince, but the thing that I could say that was the most important was that he brought out the best in me. He saw characters in me and abilities in me that I did not. He sees that in a lot of people, but if you give him a chance to bring it out, he can. But then again, he gave me free rein with each and every one of my characters. I was able to develop them. He told me what he wanted, but he also let me have a whole lot of personal input in building the characters. As far as I'm concerned, Vince has never hurt me. Things that happened to me while I was up there, Vince didn't do them. Nobody else did them. I did it to me. I'm still on a good speaking basis to Vince to this day. I send birthday cards, Christmas cards, all that kind of stuff. I get my royalty checks quarterly, and I can walk into any arena where Vince McMahon is, and I can walk up to him, and he will give me a hug. And that's a good feeling.
How did you think women's wrestling was regarded at the time by management?
By management?
Right.
At the time, they had more. They weren't. They had their Grand Wizard Ernie. Of course, he was managed. They didn't have that many female managers at the time. Of course, you can remember Ma Bass.
Right.
Okay, she was doing some stuff. And the Grand Wizard at the time, of course, Freddie Blassie. So there weren't very many lady wrestlers at the particular time. So when we first started getting in there, women had one spot, and that was to wrestle, and that was it.
Now, basically, at Survivor Series 87, I think it was, you teamed up with one trainer and you worked against the other. Mm-hmm. What was that like, the memories of that?
You're talking about with the Bomb Angels and all the girls in there? Oh, that was amazing. I hurt, by mistake, Velvet McIntyre that night. I hurt her arm. I think I sprang it or something. And I wouldn't, like I said, I would never go in there and actually hurt somebody, and I was worried the rest of the match that I had done something so severe to her. But the match itself went over phenomenally. The Bomb Angels, you know, Leilani and Judy, they were Jimmy Hart had them. What was it?
Man, I forgot.
Come on, help me.
I'm trying to remember.
Blondes. Come on, somebody help me. Yeah, I'll remember it. The Glamour Girls.
Yes. All right. Yep.
The Glamour Girls, because Jimmy Hart was with them. Remember?
Right.
Yeah, but those guys were phenomenal. Bomb Angels were great.
I was going to ask you, what your memories of them?
Oh, them guys. I like watching them against the Glamour Girls because, I mean, those guys, I mean, Leilani and Judy, they worked Japan so much, and the Bomb Angels came over here. I mean, that was just an added plus.
Now, was Moolah proud to see you as her successor and put you over, or was she bitter at all when they gave you the title? Because you came in pretty quick and got the belt real quick.
Yeah, I did. I don't know. You have to ask her.
Okay.
I mean, Lily and I didn't always see eye to eye on things, but we have mutual respect for each other.
Right.
Now, whether the question you ask, that's something you'll have to ask her. I don't really think anybody knows what Lillian's thinking.
Mae Young, your early memories of Mae Young.
Mae Young, oh God, if it wasn't for people like Mae Young and Penny Banner and Lillian, we wouldn't be here today. You and I wouldn't be here doing this interview. That is one tough old broad. Lillian is one tough old broad. And I am very proud to say I am one tough old broad, but I would not be anything
Without them.